Let's take a look at Friday's action. Who can we stream in, who is in and who is out? What are the risky moves? Michael Bolton, you're never risky.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and literally everything is a weapon, son. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Blue Sky, joshloyd.bsky.social, on Twitter at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. New FanDuel customers can get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Also, check out lockedondaily.com. We will have the best newsletter for your favorite team over there, lockedondaily.com, and you're double banging here. You're subscribing and commenting and all of that stuff. As we get through to the final 2 weeks of the NBA's regular season, it is National Weed Appreciation Day. Weed, the noxious plants that grow in your garden that steal resources from your beautiful flowers and bushes and trees and fruit-bearing flora. That sort of weed. Appreciation of the weed, the humble weed that you pull out and discard like any sort of streamer that might play for the Toronto Raptors. What should we talk about to start things off? I think it'd be good that we look at the schedule and we try and figure out what things are important that we know are set in stone. And we'll start by just talking about where the back-to-backs lie to begin the day. The Thursday, Friday, heading into Friday's games back-to-backs, two teams, Cavs and Jazz. That's going to be important for two reasons. Both ends of the spectrum here. The Cavs, are they just going to be resting more guys? Mobley's out on Thursday. What happens on Friday? Is Garland going to sit one? Maybe Mitchell and Mobley have sat the last two. What about Utah? Is Walker Kessler going to play now that they're back in possession of first place in the tank standings? Will he play the back-to-back? We know Larry Markkanen's not playing most likely. We'll see. And then Friday to Saturday, the Brooklyn Nets. And they are actually committing to try and get that 5 spot. They're going to battle Philadelphia for it. And we saw them rest Cam Johnson last game. They play a much easier opponent, easier in terms of a bad team, on Saturday. So I would expect maybe a Johnson rest, maybe a Claxton rest, maybe a Russell rest, even Ziaire Williams to come maybe on Saturday, not necessarily Friday. So we need to watch that because they do have that back-to-back, and there is some risk about all of their guys playing across those days. If we look at some chunky stuff, this is Friday through to Tuesday. Look which teams have 3 games over that 5-day period and which players are going to be useful. There are risky ones through all this, and we'll try and highlight the risky players all the way as we go through. But Adem Bona, I feel minimum 21 minutes a night you get from him. And I think there's more risk of someone like a Gershon Yabusele sitting versus Bona sitting. Fanapans, Kevin Huerter, we know the Bulls are going to keep... Well, actually, you know what? Maybe we don't, because the random Vooch and Giddey questionable tags for Thursday sort of came out of nowhere. So I'm just going to double check whether those... No, they're still sitting at questionable, so I don't really know what they're doing. So we'll pay attention to that. We've got whatever's going on in Milwaukee, so Gary Trent, Kevin Porter Jr., and Ryan Rollins. And if you're looking to get 3 games in 5 nights, I'm not really sure you have to make a decision between those 3 guys, because I think the value is going to be okay for all of them there. I don't know which direction it's going to go. Again, Rollins closed over Porter, but Porter started. Was it Giannis being out? I don't know. But all 3 of those guys have value over the next 5 days. And the other one is Jared Butler, which of course is a little bit risky in Philly as they sort of shuffle in between him and Doughton. Doughton is limited in terms of games played. Butler is not. And I think he outperformed Doughton anyway coming off the bench in the last one. So a little bit of a safer option there. Let's take a look at safer in terms of safer compared to other Sixers, not other players. Let's take a look at the contract tracker situation. We'll start in Charlotte for the 2 ways, or the 2 ways and the 10 days, because this becomes important because they had a very interesting schedule set up where they had a Sunday, Monday back-to-back against New Orleans and Utah. 2 teams that they are fighting out in that bottom 4 to try and make sure they can lose games. And I thought there was a chance that LaMelo Ball and Mark Williams would sit on Sunday and on Monday, because they have sat guys non-back-to-backs, Williams and Ball, at times. Their game on Friday is against another bad team in Toronto. But again, Toronto can't really move, but I don't think the Hornets don't want to win. The Hornets do not want to win that game against Toronto, but I think Toronto I don't think will be going as hard into it, but also Toronto is sitting their guys. The now thing is that LaMelo Ball is out on Friday. I do worry here that this might be 3 in a row out for LaMelo. Toronto, New Orleans, and Utah, and then he comes back for Pacers, Kings, Bulls, Grizzlies. I would be very, very cautious. And why does that matter with these contracts? Well, Damian Baugh, who has been starting some of these, sort of in and out. He played 33 minutes 5 games ago, Baugh, and then he's been out 5 in a row. KJ Simpson, the other one, who actually now they have sat him enough games, KJ, that he can play every game rest of season. So he's not part of this. But Ball's only got 7 games left. Wendell Moore, who'd been playing like 21, he played 21, 21, 20, 27 minutes, and he's been DMP'd the last 2. Wendell Moore Jr.'s got 4 games left. And given that I think for the next 3, we might have some iffy stuff going on, we've got to be paying attention to Ball and Moore. Ball and Moore, there you go. What a law firm. Law firm for Ball, more. We can pay attention to those guys a little bit here, and Simpson's going to get that run too. So just be aware of that. In New Orleans, Elfrid Payton is not on a 2-way contract, but he's on a 10-day contract. And he's only got 2 games left on that contract, Friday and Sunday. Not that he's that important for most of you, but he played 25 minutes in the last game with CJ McCollum out. In Toronto, Jared Rhoden has got 7 games left. He had a little run where he put up some big numbers and then he just disappeared. He had an ankle injury, went back to the G League. He hasn't returned yet. He's got 7 games left that he can play. I don't think that he's playing across the weekend here. I think he's still going to be in the G League, but I'm not sure about that at this stage, but watch that one. Cole Swider, they just signed on a 10-day contract. That 10-day allows him to play 5 games, and then there is another possibility of a 10-day after that. And then the other one is in Utah. It's old mate Michael Potter. Potter has 7 games left, not including Thursday. So if he does get into the action on Thursday, which he might, by the time we get to Friday, he'll have 6 games left. And then after Friday, if he plays, he'll have 5 games left. So he cannot play every game for the rest of the season, Michael Potter. So just be aware of that as well. What about some injury statuses? Well, it was just as I was recording that we got the news on LaMelo Ball, so I didn't include that here, but he is out. We know that. Oh, and we just got the Pelicans. Zion is out, and CJ McCollum is out. What? Okay, that just happened. So, interesting. Not a back-to-back, and it's against the Warriors. What are we doing here? CJ, they're calling right foot contusion, and Zion's his back. This is it's really leaning into shutdown stuff here for these two. And this is when I like to set my playoff dates for fantasy leagues. I set it for the Sunday that just passed, right? Because usually you get, look, last week wasn't good. I know that there was some random rest, but usually the full season shutdown stuff starts about 2 to 2.5 weeks before the end of the season. And we are right there now. And I do worry that they have not played for 3 days. The last game they played was on, Monday? Zion hasn't played since Wednesday, the 19th of March. And CJ hasn't played since Sunday and is out again. I would be very, very worried about the value of these guys now, of where they sit and whether they're going to play again. Yeah, that's a worry. That's a worry. That just happened, and I did not expect that to happen right now. Yeah, okay, there we go. I reckon that might be, that's real trouble. The other one that just popped up as well is Jamal Murray, the headmaster, is questionable with hamstring tightness. Oh, the old tightness, eh? Yuck. The Cavs we want to watch because I think there is a chance that Garland rests on the back-to-back after Mitchell and Mobley being the last 2 out. Ty Jerome's also going to be out Thursday, so we just watch him and what they do with DeAndre Hunter, for example. Giannis is one of the big ones. Glenn Rivers did say that he doesn't expect him to miss this game after he sat the last one, but we'll see. And his absence impacts Kevin Porter and Kyle Kuzma, not in a good way, and guys like Gary Trent and AJ Green as well. Steph, it looks like he is going to play, but we also thought that maybe it was trending that way for Tuesday as well. I do think Steph plays on Friday. And then I had Zion there, but both him and CJ, again, I just said no chance. I thought CJ was sitting there, and there we go. Zion out, CJ out. Bruce Brown and Jordan Hawkins, though, are available to play for the Pelicans. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, New customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That is $200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets. You can pick the favorites, you can pick the underdogs, you can pick your favorite color, you can pick your favorite mascot. I don't care what you do, but you can just go in there, and if you win that first $5 bet, you get $200 in bonus bets that you can use on anything all across FanDuel. And when you do win, those payouts come super fast, immediately. So visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long, and don't forget to gamble responsibly. All right, so let's take a look now. We've looked at those injury statuses, stat high. Let's take a look at some streaming options. We'll start with points leagues, and we'll have a look at where we sit with those and which guys are useful and which guys are risky. We'll start with Yahoo points, and again, the projections on this are tough because it's the Toronto Raptors, and I thought that, again, given where they were, we might get an ease off of the resting. Not sure about that. Abaji is out to rest. RJ Barrett is out to rest. Quickly is returning, and Pirtle is returning. We've still got Jared Rhoden out. No Brandon Ingram, of course. We've still got no Dick. So those guys are still out, but we're still getting the Quickly, Barrett, Pirtle shuffle. They play the Sixers on Sunday. I think that might be last gasp. So they play the Hornets and then the Sixers, and then it's some better teams, and I think they'll lock themselves into a slot. But for now, we're still getting that. So when I say that John Mogbo and Orlando Robinson project okay, or pretty well, as stream guys are available in a lot of spots, it's risky because Pirtle is off the injury report. But does Pirtle off the injury report mean that he plays 26 minutes? His last 4 games he's played, he's been off, on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off. All right, so there's a pattern there. But it was 17 minutes, 25 minutes, 28 minutes, 26 minutes. So I don't really know what we get here. But that does leave enough for Mogbo to play at the 4, for Robinson to play at the backup 4 and get 22 minutes, because there's no other centers on the roster. So they're there, but it is risky. I've got Kelly Olynyk there, and with Zion out, we do like that a lot. Eve Meesy's there. I don't mind that with Zion out as well. Pretty good value. And then we go to Ryan Dunn, who really struggled like all of the Suns in the last game, but he is useful, and I think he'll continue to start. And the other one is Kevin Porter Jr., whose value will spike up if if Giannis is out. It just gives him more usage. I don't know that he starts if Giannis plays, but I also think that he is going to be worth at least a type of a stream in that area. For ESPN points, I realize that the graphic for some reason didn't save, so I'll just tell you that the list is basically the same, except I didn't have Kevin Porter on that list for ESPN points. Jose Alvarado jumped on to replace him, so apologies that list didn't come up graphic-wise over there. If we're going to look at category leagues, we will do that now. For points and threes, the guy that has been starting in place of RJ Barrett, especially with Abaji out, has been Jamison Battle. Now, do I feel very good about streaming in Jamison Battle? Of course not. Quickly's there. We could get AJ Lawson randomly. We could get Cole Swider. Barnes is still there. But Battle should start. He could have 14 points and 4 threes. No, he couldn't, because that doesn't add up. No, it does. It does add up. 14 points and 4 threes, easily. He doesn't do anything else. And the shot hasn't really been falling, but that's, again, a guy that's available everywhere, but it's risky. We know that Gary Payton's out for probably the entirety of the regular season with a thumb ligament. Maybe not, but whatever. But Moses Moody just gives him 1 to 2 extra minutes. It doesn't make him a must-roster player, Moses, and Steph is likely returning. But for points and threes, you get those 15, 14, 13 points, 3 triples, 4 triples maybe. Enough to consider it. Cade Cunningham's out in Detroit. So Dennis Schroeder and Marcus Sasser are both on this list. Last game, Sasser went crazy. Every shot went in, and that marginalized Schroeder. Now, don't expect that to always be the case, because Sasser's not going to shoot 75%. But both guys are worth looking at. But if Schroeder starts, the upside is better with him. Ryan Dunn is there. Again, he's a double-digit scorer at the moment. He's hitting 1 to 2 threes. It's not what you usually want him for, but the minutes do work. And then I go to Zaire Williams, who is a little risky because he has also been popped on the injury report as questionable, which when I was creating this, that didn't happen. By the way, Damian Bott is in the G League, so he's not coming up for that game for the Hornets, so it'll be KJ Simpson time. So when we're talking points and threes, but more importantly assists and steals, KJ Simpson is going to be on that list. So just keep an eye on that. What are we looking at now? Yeah, I was looking at Zaire Williams popped up as questionable as well. So there you go. Assists and steals. Well, we'll get into that list right now, actually, because I've got Jose Alvarado at the top there with CJ out. That should boost him enough. Elfrid Payton, we talked about those 10 days left. Well, he actually moves into consideration as well in that area with CJ out. Chris Dunn is there as well. Just keep an eye on this as well for the Clippers. They've got a Sunday, Monday back-to-back, so Kawhi's not going to play in both those games. But Ty Lue said something very interesting in his comments after the game on Thursday, Friday, Wednesday. What day? Wednesday. Because he'll talk about how Amir Coffey got a DNP-CD. And Lue went out of his way to say he's got to stay ready because there's a chance he starts against the Cavs. Okay, what? That's very random. Why did he say the Cavs? Because that wasn't their next game. That's the game as the first game of the back-to-back, Sunday, Monday. So is he implying that Kawhi is sitting the first game of that back-to-back, which is the Sunday, the end of this matchup? Be aware of that, because normally you expect Kawhi out in the second. So he did say, for some reason, I don't know why he said this, but Amir Coffey might start against the Cavs on Sunday. And the only way I can see that happening is if Kawhi's out. Just watch that. Anyway, Chris Dunn, his numbers, his minutes are up in the last game, and he is a steals guy with some assists, so there's use there. Mike Conley is going to be just always around the mark for this area. Kevin Porter Jr. also, who can get big assists, especially if Giannis is out. The role is in flux, but we're okay with it. Johnny Mogbo is more of a steals guy, but he does get 3 to 4 assists from that big man spot. And again, with some other guys out like Barrett and Abaji and Dick, that'll push Barnes down more to the 3, allowing Mogbo, I think, to play a little bit more at the 4. And the other one there is Tyler Kolek, because in New York, Deuce McBride, Campaign, and Jalen Brunson are all out. Now, they could start Delon Wright, or they could play Delon Wright and split minutes with Kolek, but we have seen Kolek play 21 minutes and get 9, 8, and 7 assists. It is not outrageous to say 12 assists, 2 steals is a upside possibility for Kolek. Now, he might do nothing else. He might take 4 shots for a game. He might have 0 points on 0 of 4 shooting. But he could double-digit assist you. He could multiple steals you. And that is obviously useful if that's what ends up happening. So just pay attention to that as an assists and steals stream option, Tyler Kolek. And you could go to Delon Wright as well, but Tyler Kolek is probably the one I go to first there. Got a couple more things to look at in terms of streaming here. We'll start with, we'll go back to look at boards and blocks as our streaming options. Where's my little screen here? Yves Missi, right at the top of that list. I think that's relatively safe with Zion out. You're going to get close to double-digit rebounds, maybe 1 or 2 blocks. I know he's not well-rounded, but you can get those numbers. The next 3 guys are a little risky. Now, I did make Carlo Makovic as a risky option here before I knew Zion was out, but with Zion out, I think there's a little bit more safety there. So Mogbo, Makovic, Orlando Robinson. I've already talked about the risk around Mogbo and Robinson, but Makovic and Olynyk in New Orleans and Missi, I like all of them as a stream on Friday for boards and blocks. And the other one who's been getting some really good minutes is Peyton Watson, who played big minutes over Aaron Gordon in the first half last game. Not saying he's going to do that every game, but more minutes than Russell Westbrook as well. And if Jamal Murray misses again, Westbrook can push to the point guard spot, but that does help Watson a little bit too. And he's been getting multiple blocks. So again, it's a deeper league stream, but these are sometimes the moves you've got to make. But I think we're really focusing ourselves on New Orleans, especially for these boards and blocks with so many of these big men available there. For percentages, Mitchell Robinson's going to be a field goal percentage guy. I like Osa Iguodaro as a field goal percentage option in Phoenix as well. And then Derek Jones for the Clippers. And for free throws, Dennis Schroeder and Marcus Sasser in Detroit. And Michael Conley can also help you in that category. A little short and sharp stream preview for Friday. Bit of a cat amongst the pigeons with LaMelo out, Zion out, and CJ out, which I didn't expect. You've got the Knicks point guards out. You've got Cade Cunningham out as well. So there are opportunities for players to do a little bit more and for you to adjust. You can adjust this one by hitting the sub, hitting the thumb, and leaving your comments down below. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.